Digital business is fast, agile, and competitive. We fast-track security protection from weeks to minutes. We fast-track multi-cloud management through security, visibility, and cost control. We fast-track productivity for millions of employees. We fast-track up to 30% savings in IT infrastructure costs. We fast-track decision-making through real-time data monitoring. We fast-track digital business automation, allowing app delivery from hours to seconds, via mainframe, mobile, cloud, and beyond. We fast-track banking, hospitals, apps, retail, manufacturing, government, life. 82% of the Fortune 500 are already on BMC's Fast Track. Shouldn't your business be?
Welcome. Welcome to our third annual BMC Innovation Day in Toronto. What do you think of the Shangri-La so far? It's a little bit better than the basement of the Thompson in the dark all day, so this will be great. As long as the rain holds off, we'll have a great patio for lunch and for drinks. What do you think the chances are, Heather? 50-50? 40? Everybody knock on wood and do a little bit of rain go away dance. On behalf of the Canadian team, BMC as a whole, and our partners, I want to thank you for investing your time today to spend with us learning about where BMC is going and how we can help you in your digital transformation journey. So we appreciate that. For those of you who have been here for the first time, we got a great crowd today. I think we're up over 40% year over year in our attendance, so that's great. So that's partly because you saying you had a great time last year and our team's pushing. So thank you very much for that. The excitement around BMC has never been greater. You know, last week, Jason Fry and I were out visiting with some customers at the executive level, talking about the direction that we're going, talking about the value that we're providing our clients and the pain that we're helping them get rid of. And it was unbelievable how in sync our message was and where we're going with our products with what those customers wanted to solve. So really excited to be able to share that with you today throughout the day. Today's objective is pretty simple. It's about informing you. It's about offering you different perspectives on how you can leverage our technology to solve real business pain. And that's what it's about. It's about solving that pain for you to make your lives easier. But it's also about you getting the opportunity to meet and network with your peers who are using maybe parts or different things in those technologies to be able to get value for your business. Look around the room. It's full of people here to do the same thing, right? To learn, to explore, to share, which really makes this a fun day. I'm excited to have Alistair and Jason as our keynotes today, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Other thing I'm really excited about is our partners. We've got some bronze, gold, and silver partners here for the day. Take the time, go spend some time with them. It's important for us to be able to have them here because they help support this event and make it a reality. The other thing to make sure that you do is, I think everybody got a passport as they came in, right? Everybody's got their passports? Make sure that you actually get around the room, get them stamped by the different vendors, and then go see our Customer Connect team at the end so that you can actually get entered into a draw. That draw will happen, and there'll be some good prizes at the end of the day. You got to be here to win. But I think we have some Apple Watches, some speakers, and a bunch of different things that I think you'll find really excited. But make sure you spend the time through the receptions and the coffee breaks to go see those partners and end up with our Customer Connect team. Who's downloaded the app? Everybody got their app? The app is a great app. It's based on my IT too. The app has all of our agenda and everything going on for the day. So it's a good way to refer back rather than having to go to paper. Last week, one of the things that, first time for me, I participated in IT World Canada Twitter Jam, and we were talking about digital transformation. And digital transformation really is the theme of what we're talking about throughout the day today. And a lot of the topics covered really tie back to what we're doing here. So don't forget to tweet your thoughts, tweet some pictures, tweet whatever you need to do to BMC Day Canada. And this is the meat of the day. I'm really excited about this. We've got some customers, we've got some partners coming in. So Tony Myers is going to lead our digital service management track, and we've got 2 clients coming in. We've got Mike Amato from the Ontario government coming to talk about the value that they're getting out of using the Remedy platform to run their business extremely cost efficiently. You've got Alain Goffi from National Bank talking about why he picked BMC, Remedy, and our Control M solution over everybody else in the market last November to start a transformation journey for them. Joe Goldberg's going to lead our digital business automation, or for those of you who may not know that acronym, Control M. And we've got Steve Barbosa coming in from Desjardins, who's going to talk about what you do with Control M outside of job scheduling, because there's a lot more of it than that, a lot more to it than that. We've got performance analytics. Darren's going to run that track. And we've got one of our partners, Turbonomics, coming in and talking about how they can augment what we do with our capacity optimization with some of the technology that they have in their kit bag. And security ops is led by Brian Alexander. He's going to talk about how security comes into play in operations for security. And John Fraser from Online Business Services is going to talk about the security side of the house that they're helping customers with. So this is the fun part. We've got 2 really great keynote speakers coming up. Jason's our VP of Digital Innovation here at BMC, works in our CTO's office, and really spends his time thinking about thinking about how we can take our technology to better support and better get value for you, our customers, because that's really what it's all about. So Jason's going to come up in a second and talk about the digital roadmap and where we're going. Alistair Krall, I first saw 2 years ago, Alistair, in Banff at a cloud summit, and it was such a compelling speaker that I pushed this year that we get him to come to Toronto. And it turns he didn't just come to Toronto, he's going to Boston, Chicago, and a couple of other spots throughout the year. So I think you'll find Alistair's presentation quite interesting. And on that happy note, Jason Fry, come on down. You're the next contestant.
We're all boycotting the stairs on this side of the stage, just so you know today. It's great to be back in Toronto. I'm Jason Fry. I'm Vice President of Innovation and Strategy at BMC. I've actually been with BMC Software now for almost 15 years, but it's not consecutive amounts of time. BMC has a habit of purchasing companies that I go and found and start up and then come back. And that's happened twice for me. But I've actually been back now the second time for almost 7 years. And it's been an exciting time at BMC over those 7 years to see the transformation that's happened with our customers and the transformation that's happening inside of BMC to help deliver new digital technologies that are really working to transform the way that our customers are delivering capabilities to their customers or to their citizens. Now, I know Sean had asked for everybody to tweet, and you can find me on Twitter. I'm at FryFry, F-R-Y-F-R-Y-E. So feel free to tweet me. I apologize for not putting my Twitter handle up on the title deck there for you. I want to spend just a very, very short amount of time in my presentation today talking about digital transformation and what that really means and what's happening. There was a study that MIT Sloan did a couple years ago where they talked about the transformation that's happening inside of organizations as it exists across 9 different areas. I didn't want to spend time going into all 9 of those areas with you this morning, but I thought there were 3 of them that really stood out, that really resonate with the customers that we have at BMC, and for IT operations management professionals that are in the room, the types of things that you do day in and day out. Now, I would say that at least 2 of these are fun and 1 of them's not fun. And I'm going to guess you can all guess which ones are fun and which ones aren't fun. So let's start with the fun ones first. Customer experience. The path of transforming customer experience is a long path, but it's also very rewarding. And we know that almost every company in every industry, be it private sector or public sector, has transformed the way that they're engaging with their customers through digital applications, through new digital offerings that they have in their environment, where essentially every company is a digital company. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't know about me is that I grew up on a dairy farm in western Pennsylvania. And many times throughout the year, I still go back to that farm and I farm with my parents who are milking cows. We also have equipment, and one of the pieces of equipment that we have is a big John Deere combine, right? So you think, okay, Jason, where the heck is this gonna go? Well, John Deere combines are one of the most digitally connected platforms on the planet. In fact, we were combining corn in the fall last year, and we had a small problem, mechanical problem with the system. As soon as we picked up the phone and made the phone call, the person from John Deere on the other end had already diagnosed what was wrong with the combine before we actually made the phone call. Now, we're small potatoes compared to the guys in the Midwest, but that was a digitally enabled platform, and that experience, now think about a farmer on a combine in the middle of a field, right? Now, if my dad had been, my dad's not quite as digitally forward as me, but if he had been a little bit more digitally forward, he would have actually had the app and he would have gotten that information pushed to him from the combine via the John Deere centralized office back to the system. That's transforming a digital experience for a company that you may have never thought about transforming digital experiences. Just as a side note, that John Deere combine runs our TrueSight performance management software on the combine itself to monitor all those different systems, because it's just a big digital piece of bits, not like the ones my grandfather had. We're transforming business models. So we think about organizations that are transforming their business models that may have been traditional manufacturers and they sold a thing, and now they want to sell the data around those things. So it may be a tire manufacturer that's selling usage information to insurance companies. It may be an equipment manufacturer that's pulling big data off of that platform to help companies improve their business. And so instead of telling you the thing, they're selling you the data around that thing. And those are fun transformations that are happening. Now, the one on here that I think is a little less fun, but is extremely important, is this operational transformation. So the transformation around operational processes. And it's not fun because it makes everybody in this room uncomfortable. This goes way beyond the fact that we have to think about tearing down the silos that existed between infrastructure departments inside of organizations. But this is fundamentally changing the way that organizations organize to deliver value to their customers, to deliver technology, to deliver a thing, a product to customers. And we have to think about how we transform those operational processes. And if we think just in our own lives today around processes around IT operations management, and let's just take a common process around service management. We've been very focused on how we drive service management from the beginning to the end. But that's been interrupted. We've been interrupted by things like DevOps, where we now have developers who are wanting to move a lot faster. And maybe the change management process that you have in place isn't keeping up with the pace of innovation that's happening inside your company to drive that customer experience and new business models that you're delivering in the environment. So we'll talk a little bit later today about how we need to think about some of these operational processes. Now, this pace of digital is intensifying. And this is a great Gartner representation of how that shift to digital is intensifying, but also what it has meant to companies who have undertaken that shift faster. So top, typical, and trailing is just Gartner's fancy way of saying companies that are kicking their peers' butts, ones that are doing average, and the ones that are sucking wind. So trailing companies have only invested about 7% of their IT budget into digitalization processes inside their organizations, but that is more than doubling to 16%. You look at the top performers, the top industries across the world in their particular vertical, they're investing lots today in digital, and in 2018, they're expected to increase that pace of change. So we can see that there are rewards that are very close at hand for companies that are making that digital shift and that move to digital inside of their organization. And that transformation around digital has a big impact on IT. In order to make that shift to digital and to help support that digital transformation, both from an operational perspective, from a new business process point of view, and a user experience perspective inside of organizations, we need to think about the types of things that we're doing. Now, anybody in here that's been in the IT industry for a little while will look at this and go, Jason, that's people, process, and technology. And I'll say, yeah, it actually is. It's people, process, and technology. But it's very specific to the digital era. When we think about the technology required around delivering a modern elastic infrastructure to support the operational shifts that are happening from digital transformation, we understand that we need a more flexible infrastructure. And for a lot of organizations, that means multiple cloud providers delivering services to help them flex that infrastructure. They may have a private cloud, they may be contracting with one or more infrastructure as a service clouds or platform clouds like Microsoft or Azure, consuming software as a service from BMC, from Salesforce.com, from other companies in the world that are delivering those types of flexible services. But it also means digitally enabling employees. And several years ago, BMC, we introduced the My IT platform for companies, and everybody thought we were maybe just a little bit off our rockers as a big IT operations management company saying, hey, we're going to give you this product that's going to transform the way your employees do business with IT. And now we see that that's become core to the way that companies think about transforming their business. It's about providing that high value, high touch experience for employees so that they're more digitally engaged in what they're doing day in and day out. And that helps drive that high speed innovation to enter new businesses, to deliver new services, to compete better in industry, and to deliver better services to the citizenry of public sector type of organizations. Now, what's BMC been doing in this space? We've been listening to our customers. And you've heard BMC talk about digital enterprise management now for just about 3 years since we went private. Digital enterprise management is really about thinking how we relate the technologies that we have to the challenges that our customers are facing inside their organizations. And these are all very important areas. And we think about, for example, multi-cloud and the number of customers that we talk to that have some type of a multi-cloud initiative that they're undertaking to help drive their digital transformation. Or that we talk to customers that are undertaking security and operational changes inside their organization to help support that digital transformation and to help prevent things like WannaCry from having them to take down massive parts of their business. In fact, I was meeting with a company in the US, I'll keep them completely anonymous because they had a massive problem around WannaCry where they were able to see for their on-premise environments instantaneously through their Blade Logic technology whether or not they had any vulnerabilities for WannaCry. When the CIO asked them, do we have that same visibility into our cloud platforms? The answer was no. They had at some point chosen not to deploy Blade Logic onto their cloud platforms because they thought the provider took care of that for them. And the CIO had no choice but to ask them to shut off all the products and services that were being offered on their cloud platform until they were able to validate that they had no vulnerabilities against WannaCry. Right? I will say on a side note that we had a sales team that was very happy because the CIO called them and wanted Blade Logic and our policy security suite deployed on those systems very quickly. But these digital accelerators, from digital workplace to DevOps to security and compliance, multi-cloud, IT operations management, big data, and security management excellence, are all the types of challenges that customers are telling us that they're facing, that they're driving inside their organization. Now, these are all important, but today I wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about multi-cloud. because multi-cloud can be this confusing thing. Now, we all thought that cloud was going to be this easy journey. And I guess we all thought it was going to be the same easy journey, just like the shift from mainframe to open systems was an easy journey, and the shift from open systems to web systems was an easy journey, and now from our own private data centers to cloud. That was going to solve all the challenges. But what we found happening in almost every company is that it's just added more complexity to the already complex world that we already manage. And multi-cloud has made it a little bit harder because now we have applications and services that are running on clouds that we have no visibility to the infrastructure. We have no visibility to the data center. And if you're a particular airline in the United Kingdom, you have no visibility to contractors pulling plugs out of walls. But multi-cloud really is about public clouds, multiple public clouds, infrastructure, platform clouds, software as a service clouds, your own on-premise data center, private clouds that you may have on site, and how all that technology comes together to deliver a service for your customers. That's the reality. The pain points that arise because of that are many. It's everything that you worried about when you were operating an on-premise data center now multiplied across all the different providers of service that you have, from a complexity point of view, getting visibility into those systems. And by the way, visibility is not easy in a multi-cloud world because in a lot of instances, especially if you have development teams that are rapidly moving things and you have rapid scale up, scale down capabilities, you may have cloud instances or containers that exist for days, for minutes, or if you're using serverless type of compute technologies like Amazon Lambda, maybe just microseconds of time that a service actually exists in your environment. You have extensive amounts of automation that are complicated by multi-cloud environments. Security is a lot of fun in a multi-cloud environment because now, again, you may not have complete visibility down even to the operating system that's running the containers that you've deployed on certain platforms, and so you have to manage that risk in your environment. How do you integrate these services across the different cloud environments? Cost. I can't tell you the number of our customers that we talked to that thought moving to a particular infrastructure provider or platform provider was going to reduce costs in their organization. And then because of architectural decisions that the developers made, or just because of unexpected scale requirements, they blew through their proverbial Microsoft or Amazon or Google Cloud Compute bill in a couple of weeks for what they expected to spend annually. And then, of course, compliance and performance management. How do you know that the services that you're providing in the cloud are as compliant as the services that you're providing on-premise? So these are the types of pain points that we see that are out there today. And speaking of pain points, my legal team always wants me to remind you that they're excited about everything that we're talking about as well. And there are a couple of things that I'm going to talk about here in a couple seconds that are subject to some minor changes as we roll through the release cycle. Now, we have been driving a massive amount of innovation at BMC across all the digital enterprise management initiatives we've talked about, but we've been particularly focused on transforming the products that we're delivering to support the complex use cases around multi-cloud. And this is everything from our security and operations capabilities around policy and compliance to digital discovery, et cetera, in the environment. And what I want to do now is just take a couple of minutes to walk through a couple of the technologies that we're delivering into the marketplace to help address some of the multi-cloud challenges and some of the other emerging challenges that are existing in the marketplace. So BMC Discovery. I know we have a lot of Discovery customers sitting in the room here today. We have now extended and will be available in August our BMC Discovery solution to do real-time discovery across multi-cloud environments. So Microsoft Azure, Amazon, other platforms to give you real-time visibility into that platform, but not just real-time visibility into that platform, but real-time relationship mapping of how the infrastructure resources in that platform relate back to any on-premise systems that you have from mobile the whole way back down to the mainframe. So now imagine, and what you see in this example here is, I believe this is an Amazon cloud, and how that maps back to on-premise infrastructure, allow you to model that in conjunction with your on-premise assets and have real-time visibility. And guess what? This is real time. So as soon as that infrastructure change happens in Amazon, it happens in the discovery solutions. There's no waiting or no telling the system to go do a discovery cycle. It just happens real time in the environment. And very shortly after we released this capability in August, which by the way is in beta right now for anybody who wants to try it out, our BMC discovery solution will be available as a software service itself, running as a cloud service. So you can spin BMC Discovery up in the cloud to go discover your cloud and on-premise environments starting in August. So that's a lot of fun and something that I'm extremely proud to see BMC deliver to the environment. True Site Intelligence. Now, has anybody here been experimenting with big data, analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence in their IT operations management world? I know I've talked to a couple customers up here in Toronto just when I was up here with Sean last week, or that was actually 2 weeks ago. Time's flying, but it was 2 weeks ago. Talking about the ability to use the power of analytics and big data. Our True Site Intelligence platform has been optimized to allow IT to make decisions faster with real-time data input in the environment. Now, that sounds cool, but let me give you a practical example. Imagine you have, I don't know, several million remedy tickets sitting in a database someplace, and you're trying to do problem management. But those pesky users never, ever, ever categorize those tickets the right way. All they do is fill out the other field and write some text in it. And then you're stuck there running a report, and you've got like little slivers in your pie chart that say infrastructure or desktop, and then you've got like this 98% sliver that says other. True Site Intelligence goes in and does contextual analysis of all the information that exists inside of those tickets, plus all the data that's coming in off your monitoring platform, and it actually builds real-time heat maps showing you problem areas. So you'll get bubbles that you can then drill into and actually get to root cause analysis fast using a very slick graphical interface. And Darren, I'm not sure if he's in the room, but he'll be talking a little bit about this in the track later today. We're also able to use this platform to do auto-categorization real time as tickets are coming into the service desk. So that's something that we'll be releasing. So instead of your level 1 service desk having to read tickets, read information that's coming in, the system will read that for you automatically and then do auto dispatch, auto routing, put it into the right template, whatever that happens to be in the environment. It's something that we've been doing on the platform now for a couple of months, and we'll be driving more capabilities of True Site Intelligence in the future. So it's a lot of fun and a really powerful product that we're delivering to our customers from an innovation perspective. Control M customers in the room, I know there's a bunch of you. Managed file transfer. Managed file transfer. And everybody's thinking, wasn't that something that was solved like 50 years ago? What's BMC doing talking about managed file transfer? Well, we're talking about managed file transfer because the realities of multi-cloud environments have changed the game on how data needs to move across your enterprise and into your public cloud or your private cloud environments, into your big data environments. And we're proud to announce that our managed file transfer service delivers the same level of security, compliance, control, and capabilities that the Control M platform does for digital business automation, for workload automation in the environment, for managing in the movement of data and files across your environment in a secure, manageable fashion, supporting the movement of that data across not only on-premise capabilities, but across multi-cloud environments. So now imagine that you have to correlate a bunch of data from your on-premise systems and push that into a Hadoop cluster running on Amazon. The managed file transfer technology will allow us to do that in conjunction with the broader capabilities of Control M and the Control M managed file transfer. And in fact, the entire Control M platform, you can go out to the Amazon marketplace, bring your own license, and spin it up inside of the Amazon cloud today. So you can run Control M in the cloud to manage both on-premise and off-premise solutions today. The product that is keeping our sales teams very, very, very busy, especially given WannaCry and some of the other recent security breaches that have happened, is our BMC SecOps Response Service. For those of you that may have heard over the last year, we had a product that we were calling BMC Threat Director. We've retitled that BMC SecOps Response Service. We've put it in the cloud. And the BMC SecOps Response Service now, in addition to being able to correlate all the information from systems, from your vulnerability scanning systems such as Rapid7 and Nessus, et cetera, and give you that real-time vulnerability view, in addition to being able to do that correlation and that reporting, it does auto remediation. I think many of you know that we've been doing auto remediation for a while. The big news with our BMC SecOps Response Service is we've expanded that auto remediation capability to Microsoft SCCM. So no longer limited to just our BladeLogic platform, we now support remediation across the world's most extensively installed configuration automation platform with Microsoft SCCM, which means now not only can we show you where you have vulnerabilities and critical gaps inside of your environment, that we can automatically remediate that across server environments using BladeLogic or Microsoft SCCM, and in the very, very near future, other configuration automation other config automation platforms like Puppet, Chef, SaltStack, Ansible, et cetera, will allow you to do automation of configuration changes to close vulnerabilities and get real-time reports and status out of the platform using our SecOps Response Service. Anybody in here, does anybody in here have a DevOps process running inside your organization? And if not, if every hand in this room doesn't go up, then you guys are just falling asleep on me and I need to go away. So I know that everybody here has a DevOps process that's running inside their organization. And our BMC SecOps Policy Service is not only applicable to the DevOps process, but it's applicable to any release process that's happening inside of an organization. Again, a SaaS delivered service from BMC that allows you to do real-time policy checks of anything at any point that a decision has to be made as part of a release process. So that means that when I'm building a piece of software and I'm in Jenkins and I'm going to go build the software, we can run a policy scan on the libraries and code that's being used and brought together to tell the developers whether or not that's in compliance with the current operational policies that exist in the environment. As a piece of code moves through the pipeline or as it moves through your internal release process, as you go from build to QA, we can run a scan real time on that code at the app level, at the infrastructure, at the code level, and report real-time status back to you whether or not that code currently meets, or that release currently meets, the operational security policies that you've defined or that you've imported into the system. The BMC SecOps Response Service solves a huge problem. So instead of you trying to deploy something, and then on the other side of that deployment going, is it secure? Does it meet my security policies? You're doing that real time as that process happens in the environment. It's a real-time check. It's available as an API code snippet. So your developers just put the little piece of API code into their code library or into Jenkins when it's being built, and we automatically do that security check for you moving forward. So it ensures full compliance from the time the code's actually checked in to the time that that code is deployed into production at the code, the app, and the infrastructure layer level in the environment. BMC SecOps Policy Service. A lot of innovation coming out of BMC, right? So we saw like 20 things fly by on the first screen. Now we're in a couple of levels deep here, and we're going to talk about one of the areas that every time I sit down with anybody that has the word infrastructure or cloud or management in their title at an organization, it's the first question that they ask me. Jason, how do I know two things? How do I know that a workload should be moved to the cloud? And then how do I know how much that workload is going to cost me if I move it to the cloud? And then once I move it, what's my bill? And what's my bill going to be if these certain types of things happen moving forward? So our cloud cost planner And by the way, this is one product that the name will change because I think I'm the only one in the company who can say the name Cloud Cost Planner without stumbling over it. I think we're going to change it to make it a little bit easier to say and maybe a little bit more descriptive of what it does. Allows us to gain insight into your current costs around cloud, infrastructure, app, platforms, et cetera, in the environment. Has tight connectivity to our capacity planning solutions so that we can help model what a workload would cost in a particular cloud environment. Allows you to make A/B decisions. So is a workload cheaper to run on-premise or cheaper to run in cloud provider A, B, or C? Allows you to map agility questions to that A/B decision. And what do I mean by agility? Well, just because something's cheaper does not necessarily mean that something is better, right? So a particular cloud provider may provide to you faster time to market, better security policies, better geographic location policies, better terms and conditions from an SLA perspective that you need to take into account when you're trying to make those A/B decisions about cost. And then finally, forecast what something's going to cost me if it scales at a certain point. Because again, BMC has the ability to understand the component technology that makes up an application and then give you that cost forecasting in the environment. And let me give you a very specific example. Is anybody here using Azure as an infrastructure service yet? I think I've talked to a couple companies here that were doing that. You probably know that they have an interesting licensing model for using SQL Server on their cloud. Now, we had a customer who built this really slick application. It was all containerized, and every container had its own little instance of Microsoft SQL Server in it. Worked really great in test, really great in QA, and the first production runs were phenomenal. And then it scaled up. And they scaled up to running something like 3,000 or 4,000 concurrent instances of that container on the Microsoft platform. Microsoft charges you a big dollar amount for every instance of SQL Server that's running on the Azure platform. They spent $300,000 in the first week, and they are expecting to spend $300,000 in the first year. So Cloud Cost Planner will help organizations understand architectural decisions that were made by the DevOps teams, model those capabilities from a capacity perspective, and then view the current and expected cost of that in the environment. So it's a very cool product, one that I'm very closely involved with and something that I think is going to be very interesting to our customers moving forward. So that's the type of innovation that we've been doing at BMC over the last year. It's been pretty crazy. If you think about the pace of innovation, multiple new SaaS services being delivered, entering multiple new markets for our customers, innovating and enhancing the current technology platforms that we have, all while thinking about how we deliver that technology to meet the most common challenges that our customers are facing around things like multi-cloud or big data. Big data, this is just crazy. So Control-M for Hadoop allows organizations to centrally automate all the workloads and all the controls for all the big data modeling that they need to do in an environment. So if you think about what happens when you do big data modeling, you're spinning a whole bunch of stuff up, you're crunching a bunch of numbers, and you're generating results. With Control-M for Hadoop, we're able to pull all of that data from everything from mainframe environments to open system environments, other cloud environments, move that up into the Hadoop cloud, actually spin up those resources real time in the Hadoop cloud, do the processing, get the results back, and then spin down those resources. And that can all be accomplished through a click of a button inside of a service catalog delivered through MyIT. O2 up here today. Remedy is absolutely the engine behind the customer experience that we deliver to 25 million customers every day. BMW. BMW is an interesting use case. Not only has BMW delivered our MyIT solution to deliver a new digital experience to their employees, but they've actually taken that technology and they've pushed it out to the dealerships. So if you go to a BMW dealership here in Canada, that dealer is interacting via BMC's My IT platform back to headquarters for everything from ordering parts and tires to checking on the status of a customer's build, or reporting a ticket with the desktop systems they have. So everything from the basic IT service request through actually looking at and delivering a better customer experience to the people that are owning and buying BMWs in their environment. So we're doing a lot with digital enterprise management, and our customers are having a massive amount of success with digital enterprise management, and it's all built around these digital accelerators. Now, these digital accelerators aren't everything that BMC does, but it's the things that you have told us that are most important to you. And we are committed to continually innovating and driving new capabilities and new technologies to help our customers with their most pressing challenges around digital transformation across these different initiatives today. So that's digital enterprise management from BMC Software. And I think this afternoon we'll be breaking out into tracks to talk more specifically about the products that we deliver. But I want you to know that even though we talk about and we're building and we're innovating at the product level, we think about how these fit together to deliver a bigger value for our customers from a digital enterprise management point of view for you. Now for something completely different, as they say. How many people here are struggling to understand the developers in your organization just a little bit better? Because we're mostly IT management professionals, IT operations management professionals in the room. And a lot of organizations have developers that are driving big parts of their business. And in fact, you'll have development shops that will say to you, you know what, just give me that infrastructure money and I'll do it myself. Or, I don't need that service management platform you have. I'm going to use Jira and I'm just going to do it myself. Right? That's what they're telling you. And that works really well, again, through QA and test and the first couple weeks of production, and then something really goes wrong, and they pick up the phone and they call one of you in this room and they say, it's broke, fix it. And you go, what is this off-the-shelf commercial what's this little open source tool that you're using to do monitoring? I don't understand. Or what's this piece of technology that you've embedded in here that has like 3 people and a dog that are part of the contribution community? I don't get it. And the challenge is that there's this explosion of APIs that are happening, so it's making it easier for people to consume pieces and parts of technology from different places around the world, from different open source projects around the world, and even from different commercial platforms around the world. Automation is everywhere, so people are able to go build little scripts. And I will tell you that 99% of the recipes and scripts that your employees pull down and they use in their environment, they have no idea what that recipe or that script actually does or how it works. They just know that it does something. So it's just automation that's happening, and it's happening everywhere. There's a shift left that's happening, right? So they want to control the infrastructure. They want to control the service management platform. They want to control everything further left. And as operations management professionals, we're sort of left out here on the fringe, and we're trying to figure out how do we get our technology and solutions into that process faster so that when it ends up in the production environment where it's a core critical system, that we understand how it's utilized in the environment. DevOps just happens to be one of those things that's helping drive this, but the big thing that's driving this change inside of organizations is this notion that as operations management professionals, we speak UIs, right? That's what we do. We don't sit in front of a command line and do things, or maybe we do, it's just very rarely. But the developers, the enterprise architects inside of your organizations, they speak APIs, right? They're in code. This is what they do. When they want to automate something, they think, can I write a script to do that automation? Or is there an API call that I can make to go perform that function or action in the environment? And there's good reasons for this. There's good reasons for this change to happen because they see good things happening with DevOps inside of organizations. So DevOps is a good thing for a lot of organizations. It helps with that operational change, that entering new business market, delivering new capabilities and experience. So it requires less resources. Typically, there's fewer failures and faster time to restore services inside the organization. And there's a reduction in the app deployment time. And really, the thing that's driving most of the DevOps change inside of organizations is this time to market, right? It's how fast can I enter a new market? How fast can I add a new feature? How fast can I do something and get that app to market? Those are really the big reasons why we see things like DevOps and Agile driving inside of IT organizations. Now, the challenge for us as IT operations management professionals is that we have to do all this stuff on the right. We worry about monitoring, we worry about policy, we worry about workflow, we worry about service management. We worry about running the business in a secure, efficient, continual means. The DevOps toolchain is this infinite loop on the left. So what happens in the DevOps world is it's just continuous. Everything just keeps happening. I write code, I build code, I deploy code, I test code, I move it into production, I get feedback, and that loop just continues. And it's happening and happening and happening and happening, and it never stops. And the operations teams are standing on the sidelines. It's sort of like a roller coaster that's going around and never stopping to let people on or off. And the ops team is trying to think, when can I jump onto that roller coaster? Because I need them to run our security and compliance scans. And I need to make that part of their process. Or they have all these JIRA tickets, and that really does nothing for me to get to root cause analysis for major incidents or major problems inside of my organizations, or to do change management, or to get me all the other things I need to do. So we think about how do we shift those types of capabilities left. And it's something that we've been thinking about at BMC for a long time, because BMC, we are not a DevOps tools company, right? That's Atlassian. That's other companies that are in the marketplace. We don't build a DevOps tool. Now, there are some places, maybe on the fringes of the large BMC portfolio, that we have like a release management product, et cetera, that are parts of the DevOps cycle inside of organizations, but it's not what we do day in and day out. So we think about something that we call ops as code. So in the developer world today, everything gets delivered as code. Infrastructure is code, platform and app services are created as code, application logic gets run on top of that. There's the DevOps toolchain on the left, there's the REST APIs that interface with that system, and then the whole way over here on the right-hand side are the management consoles. We've been working to figure out how do we take the core of what BMC does from an IT operations management perspective, turn that into code that is then acceptable and accepted by the enterprise architects and the developers inside of organizations, so that we can do things like monitoring as code, or jobs as code, or compliance as code, or service management as code in the environment. This all starts with the DevOps toolchain. And this is a DevOps pipeline as it exists sort of today inside of a lot of organizations. We have source control, we have continuous integration, we have continuous delivery, we have QA and production, and then again, we have operations sort of tagged on at the end. And that's how it looks in most organizations, and by most, I mean 99.999% of the organizations that I talk to today. This is how this process looks. Operations is always on the outside, trying to catch up, trying to jump on that roller coaster to figure out what's happening. Now, I mentioned that we introduced our SecOps policy service solution. So what does that change in this environment around security, policy, and compliance from an operations perspective? We're now able to look at security, operations, and compliance as a continual chain. So at development time, our developers can take a single snip of code and add it into their code library. That single snip of code then allows them to do real-time security and policy checks every step in the cycle as part of a continuous cycle. So from source control through the continuous integration, through continuous delivery, moving between QA and production, we're able to make an API call up to our SaaS service to check the policy. And if the policy is successful, it just moves forward automatically. If the policy fails, that information gets reported back to the developers in their language, right? So it comes back to them as a command line. It comes back to them as a pop-up inside of Slack. Maybe it comes back to them as a Jira ticket. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. From an operational point of view, you have a GUI. So you get a real-time view into what's happening in that DevOps toolchain. The developers embrace this because now they have access to the really cool capabilities that you have on your core IT operations management platform without them having to log into a GUI, without them having to do a lot of crazy stuff, literally integrated into Jenkins from a continuous integration perspective, and recipe snips for things like Puppet or Chef or Salt Stack or Ansible, whatever it happens to be that they're using for continuous delivery in their environment, to go and do that policy check. And oh, by the way, change management, our service management platform has a set of APIs that allows them to do all the change management processes without ever logging into Remedy to open up a ticket for changes. We just use the API to push that information in, and we monitor the DevOps toolchain to drive that in as part of the process. Let me give you another example here that we're driving with our discovery solution, right? So here's BMC Discovery, happily sitting there, giving you your core infrastructure discovery that's been, traditionally very static. And you go out there on a schedule and you check to make sure things haven't moved and things haven't changed in the environment. Now, what's happening in DevOps processes? What's happening with developers? They're rapidly bringing on new infrastructure, new capabilities, new applications, new application configs, new connectivity, a lot of times into your online production systems. And that's happening through something like Chef from a continuous delivery perspective in the environment. What you see here is the code snippet that would be added into the Chef recipe. So your developers would add this little code snippet into their Chef recipe or Puppet or Ansible, whatever it happens to be. And all it's doing here is it's saying that I'm doing something. I'm deploying a new app, I'm deploying a new VM, I'm deploying a new container, I'm doing something. That API call is listened to by the BMC Discovery platform. And when that API call is run, our discovery platform immediately models all of that data and then uses the intelligence that exists in the discovery platform to connect that to the rest of the infrastructure real time, whenever and wherever they need to happen. The bonus and the reason the developers want to do this is because they have told their build system to go do something. They told Discovery what they told the build system to do. Discovery looks at that. That's the belt part of the process. We see that. The suspenders part is Discovery then validates that that's the only thing that actually happened. And oh, by the way, all this stuff gets documented against the change ticket so that you can see and document that what I said I was going to do in my change window is what I actually did inside of my change window without anybody ever having to pick up a piece of paper or put hands on keyboard to do that documentation. All because we were able to give one little code snippet to the developers on their side of the process to make our lives easier on our side of the process. So this is event-based discovery. It's available today, actually, with our discovery solution. And we're working to deliver and drive more of these little code snippets that can be plugged into the DevOps tool chain moving forward. And let me give you another example. TrueSight Pulse. TrueSight Pulse gives us comprehensive, by the second, real-time monitoring diagnostic information that exist inside of applications that are out there today. TrueSight Pulse already, by the way, has an API that can be embedded into the DevOps process so that as developers are actually building their code, they just embed a little snippet of code and it automatically shows up in the TrueSight Pulse system for management, much like you saw with Discovery. It's something that's been shipping out there again today. But one of the other things that developers want is that when something goes wrong, they want to see it in their channel, right? They don't use email. They don't use Remedy. They use technologies like Slack. And so here, notifications are actually happening inside of the collaboration tools. So when TrueSight Pulse detects an anomaly, oh boy, thank you, anomaly in the system, will push that information right into the channel for Slack, and the developers can actually interact with this real time, and they can interrogate for additional information and additional details and take action on it in the environment. Now, here's the really cool thing. This just happened. Odds are something else happened in the background. If this is a well-run organization, what else happened in the background? We probably opened up a ticket. We probably opened up that ticket in Remedy. Well, one of the other things we're able to do with all the work that we're doing to support developers from a DevOps shift left is when that Remedy ticket gets open, if it's related to a DevOps project inside of the organization, we'll also automatically create a Jira issue in the environment and then manage synchronization between the Jira issue and the Remedy ticket in the organization so that there's none of this ticket back and forth that's happening. We'll broker the tickets between the two platforms. And so as the developers go in here and they comment and they change and they update and they build, we'll do that documentation not only in the Jira instance, but we'll push all that documentation into Remedy so it's part of your change record when they fix the problem that caused the outage to begin with in the environment. So this is shifting left at multiple levels, from an interaction perspective and from a code interoperability perspective, actually at build time or at continuous delivery time in the environment. Now, the last example that I want to share with you from an ops as code point of view is our Control-M platform. So Control-M runs businesses. It runs businesses. And it manages these very powerful business process flows that exist inside of companies today. And this was the first solution from BMC that we really sat down and we thought about, what if we could take the power of Control-M and make that available as code to developers? So instead of writing a script to automate some sort of automation process or workflow process where I need to coordinate different systems in the environment and move data between 2 points, what if there was an API that I could deliver to the developers to do this same process? And that's the Control-M automation API, which allows us to define workloads using JSON and APIs, and it's just part of the lifecycle. And in all of these examples, every single one of these examples, when we start doing operational functions as part of the DevOps lifecycle, we have a couple of great benefits that come out of it. All of that code that's defining operations gets stored and managed inside of the same source code management system that's managing your enterprise application. So it gets stored inside of things like GitHub. So we have all the versioning, all the management, all the historical information is all inside of GitHub. It then flows through the process continuously. So from the time it's put in, it's in. It doesn't come back out. And they're always using it, they're always expanding on it, they're always leveraging it to integrate completely through the continuous integration, continuous deployment process as part of the DevOps toolchain. Our Jobs as Code platform has become extremely successful and extremely popular. We have a large retailer in the US that said when they deployed an application previously, that had to interact with Control M from a job control flow perspective, because they had a lot of batch processing as a retailer, that it would take them, a day or two to make sure that whatever the developers changed matched to the job control logic that existed that actually ran the business. With the Control M automation API, that's now just literally 1 or 2 seconds worth of work, because they have it embedded as part of the DevOps process for continuous integration, continuous delivery in the process. So again, across each of these initiatives, across each of these digital accelerators, we are driving this notion of software-defined operations, or ops as code, for our customers. So in each of these examples here, we can point to, in multi-cloud management, many of the examples we just walked through. In service management excellence, think about the Remedy platform being available as code for your developers. They never, again, have to log into the system to open up a change request. We just eavesdrop on the CI/CD cycle and do automatic change documentation for you. We never again have to worry about tickets being out of sync or tickets existing in Jira and not existing in Remedy, or vice versa. We now have ticket synchronization and ticket brokering happening in the environment. From a big data perspective, Control M automation API, driving Hadoop jobs to manage your Hadoop clusters and Hadoop environments inside of organizations. Security and compliance, both the SecOps response and the SecOps policy service available as APIs that can be embedded as part of the process from day one, from the time the first line of code is written, the whole way through scale at production. Obviously, the DevOps tool, DevOps accelerator itself, to help customers understand this transition. In fact, we'll come in and we'll do a workshop with you to help plan for that shift left, to take a look at the BMC products and technologies that you're using, or ones that you may be planning to use, and work with and help you identify the paths back into your development organization so that we understand what's happening in those environments. And then our digital workplace platform. I'm not sure how many people have stayed at this hotel, but in the rooms, it's an iPad that actually controls the room controls, right? So it's, you push a button and it turns on the lights, you push a button, it turns off the lights. Our digital workplace platform that we're delivering, it's the same thing. We already have companies today that are using the APIs that we deliver inside of MyIT to manage things like conference rooms. So it has room sensors to see if a room is actually filled or not. If the room's not filled, we take that system and we turn it green on the map. We move everybody out of the Exchange meetings online, and that resource is now available to be used in the environment. So just an example of where these APIs are being driven across the portfolio from a BMC perspective to truly support the software-defined operations concept that we believe is going to drive a lot of your businesses forward, and something that we're proud to be able to partner with you on as you drive through DevOps processes inside of your organization. And I think, Sean, that ends my, my couple of minutes here on stage. I'll be around for most of the day today. If there are any questions, I'm going to turn it back over to Sean. And
thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. So feel free to harass Jason throughout the day with any questions about where we're going. He'll be happy to answer those. And if you want to do a one-on-one with him in the afternoon, we can schedule something. So just let me or Heather know. All right, well, that wraps everything up. We're done. No, we got a 15-minute break for coffee. So if you could try and be back here in 15 minutes, and then we'll kick off with Alistair.